Do you envision helpful Roombas or deadly drones? Perhaps you just see a box with arms and legs and a blinky light-up face. Well, Webster defines robots as a device that automatically performs complicated and often repetitive tasks. But what if I told you that there is so much more to robots than this limited definition? What if I told you that nearly everything you own is made by a robot? Almost everything in this room is made by one sort of robot or another. We walk... Oh, crap. Almost everything in this room is made by one sort of robot or another. From the air we breathe to the ground we walk on. Oh, this is horrible. Everything has some sort of automatic influence on it. Why is this? Well, taking the definition of robot and applying it to our current market-based world, you can see why robots can be quite prevalent. With computers nearly running our entire lives, it only makes sense to give them a way to physically interact with the world around them, which is what we have come to call a robot. And when we think of robots, we can generally divide them into three categories based on what they do and where they do it. These categories are industry, military, and civilian sectors. Beginning with industry, the most common type of robot you see doesn't even look like a robot at all. It probably won't have a head or legs. Most likely, it will have many eyes and limbs with which to see and react to things interacting with it. It won't plot to take over the world or show any kind of recognition with you. It probably won't have any kind of intelligence either. Almost every industrial robot is designed to be as simple and as sensible as possible, while still doing the job perfectly, every time, over and over again, day in and day out. This type of robot is the most widely implemented on the planet, due to the fact that almost everything is made by a robot of some kind. But these robots are not to be confused with simple machines, like furnaces, or bandsaws. What these industrial robots do is act partially outside the realm of human interference. They're oftentimes programmed to react to certain standards or masters, like a perfect replica, the ideal product. For example, a robot checking eggs coming into a packaging plant often is given a set of instructions to compare the new eggs coming in against the standard that the company goes by. This machine can be turned on and run on its own, doing what it's told to do all day. If I could also describe the difference between a lathe and a CNC lathe. A lathe is basically something it's usually used to carve a cylindrical piece of material while it spins. It might help contrast the concept of robot against machine better. For CNC, means basically computer controlled. It allows a person to digitally design something without actually making it, then giving the design to a robot that can make the thing they designed. While a lathe needs a human to move the parts and actually make the thing by hand. Industrial robots are quite different from the next type. Moving on. Military robots are much more advanced pieces of equipment than their industrial counterparts. They have to be built for a specific task that may be dangerous to both itself and other humans. Currently, military robots are built to perform tasks that fall under the 3 Ds: dull, dirty, or dangerous. Dull indicates that the job assigned is either repetitive or requires a lot of time allocated to it. For example, a UAV performs tasks that are very dull, like high-altitude reconnaissance for a long period of time. It's extremely dull. But there's also no room for human error, which is why they use a robot. The second D, dirty, refers to tasks that are extremely risky to humans, specifically chemical, biological, or nuclear contamination. If troops needed access to an area that is affected by nerve gas, then they would most likely use a robot that can interact with this environment similar to humans and signal back to a human operator to determine if the situation is safe for human inclusion. This is important due to the fact that a contaminant like that is hard to protect against for humans. It requires a lot of equipment and time that soldiers might not have in a tricky situation. The last D is dangerous. Robots used in this capacity are usually used in cases of uncertainty or risk of certain death, like checking out and then disarming a bomb. This is mostly because a robot can be fixed in the event it is blown up, and humans usually can't. For the most part, military robots are either used to protect people from danger or boredom for the purposes of security and safety. The last type of robot that exists currently are those used in the private sector. Occasionally, these are called domestics for obvious reasons. For the most part, these kinds of robots are the ones that we hardly think of. The machines that clean and purify our water and air are robots. The ones that monitor our traffic systems and transportation sector. The ones in your pocket that you use every day. These robots are designed to work with humans almost exclusively. Millions of dollars are spent making their UI, which is user interface, for your smartphones, so that you as a consumer can access it with ease. But this type of robot seems almost to have the greatest opportunity for expansion, and is something that we may not even recognize 20 years down the road. It may even look like something out of an Isaac Asimov novel, with a robot to every household and everybody is free to live their life without the burden of hard labor. A utopia created by humans for humans with robots. Wrapping up, I've covered the meaning of the word robot, what robots do to help create the world we live in, how robots keep us and our soldiers safe, and how robots can exist in every facet of our lives, now and into the future. Robots have a growing place in our society and our lives. We can only begin to imagine the impact they'll have on our future.
Very good, Tyler.